Well, we have lots of cap space. So as you head towards July 1st, we'll see who's on the open market. The last week of June, obviously, is the interview period. As we speak today, I mean, obviously I don't know what the cap is, but let's say the cap goes up $3 or $4 million. I would anticipate we've got in the neighborhood of, $15 to $20 million of cap space as we sit here today. Certainly we can explore the unrestricted free agent market. As far as trades go, I mean, we can, as we go to the draft, we'll explore trades. I think the reality is when you're rebuilding and building a franchise, it's about patience. It's about having a plan of how to get there, and it's never fun. It's not fun. I mean, as you look around the league, and you can just look at team by team how long it took for them to get there. It takes longer than you like, and I think that it's no fun to miss the playoffs. It's no fun to be out 3 years in a row, and we have great fans. They want to be in the building on Wednesday night or on the weekend for a playoff game and cheering their team on. So I understand. We made it 25 years in a row, and some years we went on long runs, and 4 times we were left the last team standing. So that's the ultimate goal. I believe we're in the right path. We have lots of picks. We have we'll find out tomorrow night what pick we got. We're going to get a high pick. We got 3 seconds. Veleno was one of the finalists for the MVP award in the Quebec League. McIsaac is a really good defenseman as a second-round pick last year in the Quebec League. We got Chalowski, you've got Zadina, you got Rasmussen, you've got some players here. The reality is we got to continue along that path. And how do we now? You're asking, what do you do to complement it? Well, certainly free agency is an option, but unless we can entice somebody to come here that's high impact, we're going to continue along that path.
So in that vein, what is there a potential of a splash in your mind? I mean, are you sitting at home saying this could be the year we make that splash in this organization, or just maybe next year or the year after that?
Well, I don't know if it's just about me or it's certainly somebody ultimately. Marian Hossa wanted to be a Red Wing. Dominic Hasek wanted to be a Red Wing. Why did they want to be Red Wings? They saw the players that we had. They saw the fan base that we had. They saw the ownership that we had. Ultimately, when they became free agents, they made a decision that they wanted to sign with the Detroit Red Wings. So we're working our way to try to build something like that. I think we've got the greatest fans in the world. We have a great fan base. I think we have the most beautiful facility in the world. We've got an incredible history. I think we've got some really good young players. Some of them have come of age. We've watched them come of age here over the course of this year. We've got more young players. We need them to continue to along their path, and hopefully they can come of age. What's that? Maybe, yeah, probably.
Is Dylan did Dylan do as good a job in his first year wearing a letter as you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we made Dylan assistant captain. If you look at our assistant captains, the other 3 are older players: Cronwall, Abbey, and Nielsen. I think that ultimately the next captain of the Detroit Red Wings is going to be somebody young, and certainly Dylan would be. Now, he just asked me a question. I mean, if you go out in the open market and somebody in the prime of their career that's a superstar decides to come here, well, maybe that affects your thinking. I don't know. I don't know. But I think the reality is, obviously, we made Dylan a letter, and I think as we work our way to the summertime and into training camp, certainly he's a legitimate candidate. He plays hard. He's gone through the 4 years of developing into I mean, he's a tremendous player, and if you're going to be a face of this franchise, then we need more faces of the franchise. But certainly, he would be a leading candidate to be the next captain. But not prepared to have the announcement today.
Ken, how does this team's defense get better? I know you mentioned possibly, but realistically, is it going to have to come from within, from the system, or from the players that you?
I think so. I mean, answer, it's either got to be from within, or you sign high impact star player, whether it's in the summer of 19 or the summer of 20 with cap dollars, right? You know, there's lots of cap space, and we have lots of cap space in the summer of 19. You know, if you look at the players, the expiring contracts in 20, there's another probably $15 million in expiring contracts in the summer of 20. You know, beyond that, I mean, you've seen the young, you know, rebuilds take time. And, you know, Hronik is 21 years of age. We got Bowie from, he's 23. And we saw Chalowski here, and he's 20. I think he just turned 21 years of age. And I mean, I can talk to you about, you know, we got McIsaac and we've got Lindstrom, but and maybe we draft a defenseman with this high pick. But they're 19, 20, 21 years of age. And if you want to compete for a playoff spot, if you want to compete to win a playoff round, the reality is you need to be relatively older. It's hard to ask a whole group of 21 and 22-year-olds to do what you know, you think of the age of the team in 2002 when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup. You know, Steve Yzerman and Nick Lidstrom and Brett Hull and Brendan Shanahan and Dominic Hasek, and you think of the age of that team. Well, that was part of the reason why they won the Stanley Cup. They were veterans. I can't ask 21-year-olds to be 31 years of age. So what do we do about the defense? We draft, we develop, we have patience. We live with their mistakes. We hold them accountable. We educate them. We try to have some veteran players here that we think are role models for them, and are steadying influences on the ice and off the ice. But eventually, to find top 4 defensemen in the National Hockey League, got to draft them, and you got to, for the most part, you got to draft them, and you got to develop them. And maybe you can trade for one, but then you're going to have to trade a significant piece to get one of those guys. So I think that we're in the process of, we have lots of good young defensemen, and they've accomplished wonderful. I mean, I can give you the resumes of each of those kids. You know, Lindstrom played on the Sweden World Junior team. And McIsaac, he's one of the leading scoring defensemen in the Quebec League, and he was on Canada's World Junior team. And Hronik was captain of the Czech World Junior team, and Bowie was on the first pair of Canada's World Junior team when he was a 19-year-old. And Chalowski had 70 points last year in Portland. They got great resumes. You got to turn those resumes into NHL players. They need time. It's hard to play in the National Hockey League and play defense and help your team be a playoff team and then go on. I'd have to check. We were in the press box here a while ago, and one of the guys said to me on our staff that if you look at the NHL, there's a certain percentage of defensemen, high percentage, like 2/3 to 3/4 of the defensemen in the NHL, well over half, they're 25 years in age and over. So, you know, the defensemen I'm talking to you about are all between the age of 20 and 23. They need time. They're coming. Now, how good are they going to be? Yeah. Pavel Datsyuk, when he got here, scored 10 goals his first year, scored 11 goals his second year. You know, I don't think anybody knew he was going to be Pavel Datsyuk, you know. So I'm not saying any of these players, are going to be Pavel Datsyuk. What I'm saying is they need time, they need patience, and they've got to they need to be in situations, and they're gonna fail. They got to get back up. They got to go back on the ice, and they got to do it all over again.
What's the outlook on Svechnikov right now?
Pardon me?
What's the outlook on Svechnikov right now?
The Ellens?
Outlook.
I don't think he's playing hockey this year.
Where do you see him? Is he still a big part of the future of this organization in your eyes?
I think so. He's 22 years of age. You know, obviously we drafted in the first round. He had 50 points in the American League, 20 goals. It's a lot of goals. It's a lot of points for a rookie in the American League. Struggled the first half of his second year, and then started to play better. We called him up. I think he played 15, 18 games for us last year, and now it's a massive setback to be 22 years of age and not play hockey for an entire year. It's an important year. It's an important year in development. So he's a great kid, got a positive attitude. He comes to work every day. He's big and he's strong. He's got a big time shot. When you try to build teams, you need some small guys who can dart around, and he's a big guy that can lean on you. So certainly, I think our hope was, what was he, pick 18, 20, 21, 22, somewhere in there. I think the hope was he was going to be, somewhere between the second line and the fourth line and provide 15, 18 goals, be big and be strong, lean on people. Now, he's had a massive setback. So he starts out basically in September. He's lost a complete year. I'll see how we'll see how it affects him.
Ken, when you acquired Bowie, you were a fan of his in junior, almost thought about maybe drafting him as draft year. Were you pleased with what you saw from him? Was he kind of the player that you remember when you toyed with drafting him?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I like defensemen personally. I like defensemen that are mobile. They can pass the puck. My message to all these young, certainly in the defensemen here, and Jeff Blash and I meet with them. Attention to detail defensively. It's funny. When we go out and we draft players, we're looking for the ultimate potential, and we're looking for offense, whether it's defensemen that are going to provide offense at the NHL level, or it's forwards. And then when they get to the NHL, if they don't provide offense really quick, they learn to check. That's the hard part about developing a player. Those players that just show up and take your power play and start providing offense, that's easy. That's easy. But those players that need to learn how to check because they got to earn the trust of the coach, and you can't just keep fishing the puck out of your net and say, "Well, that's great. These players are playing; they're going to be good." Well, what would you base it upon? It's a hard league to score 40 points on defense. I don't know. I don't have the stats with me. If I had the stats, I'd flip it over and you can just see how many defensemen got 40 points in the NHL. But what are you averaging? One a team? I don't know. Is there 30 of them? So the reality is, Bowie was a really good offensive defenseman when he was in junior. I watched him play a couple of times in Kelowna. He was on our radar screen sort of in that second round. He was probably on lots of teams' radar screen, and Washington picked him. And he had great offensive numbers in junior. Then he left junior and went to the American League, and he started to put offense on the board. I think his last year there he had 8 points in 9 games, and then Washington obviously put him in the NHL. He played 55 games, and a year later he's a Detroit Red Wing. I don't know what happened in Washington, but I think from our perspective, he's 23 years of age. He can skate. He's got good size. He can pass. There's areas to his game that he needs to improve upon to becoming a real regular NHL defenseman. We provide opportunity. Lots of our defensemen are 33 to 35 years of age, and their contracts are either up or 38 years of age in Croner, or they got a year to go. This is a great opportunity for a young defenseman. So I thought the first game he played here, he looked nervous. I think he was -3 or something. I thought he played very good. We had a tough night the other night against Buffalo. I think the whole team had a tough night. We didn't seem to have any energy, but I was happy with him.
You're obviously set in goal. What openings do you see on defense and forward? Do you have in mind, like what?
Well, I think as we go, I don't know what's going on with Nick Cronwell. I got to meet with Nick Cronwell. I talked to him briefly today, and he's got to do some thinking, and we got to do some thinking. Certainly, Green's under contract, Kaiser's under contract. You've obviously got Hronik, you've got Bowie, you've got, where does Chalowski fit? We're going to go down to Grand Rapids and watch them play in the playoffs. Daly has another year. Eriksson has another year. Do you get in the marketplace? I don't know. That's what we're going to have all these meetings for. We're going to sort all this thing out. Certainly, as I look at the 19-20 team, part of them have to be young. Answer asked me a question: how do you get? Part of them have to be young, so that one day they're old. So we got to get them on the team when they're 21, 22, 23, but you can't have 6 of them. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the organization. It's not fair to the team, because that's a tough position on defense. And when you make a mistake, it usually leads to a scoring chance. And if you give up enough scoring chances and it's good players, you fish the puck out of your net. I think we were 28th in the league in goals against. So we know we got to cut our goals against down. There's areas we got to be. So, but as you're rebuilding, we know that some of our defense has to be young. Some of our defense has to be young. And if you look forward to the 2021 season, there's one more season, pretty well all those old defensemen, all their contracts have expired. So some of these young defensemen have to slowly, methodically take that ice time. So some of the defense are going to be young, as of the 7. Some are going to be old. How do we make it better? We got to explore the marketplace between now and July 1st, whether it's through free agency or whether it's through trades, or watching Chalowski in the American League playoffs, and he'd be one guy obviously, and then seeing what the marketplace has.
Same with up front. I mean, you have obviously the core 4.
Yes.
But some older veterans too.
Yeah.
And then, a guy like Hiroshi, I think he's the right name in the conversation.
Hiroshi played good. We were very happy with him. We've got to watch Zadina, certainly Rasmussen. I mean, they're young kids. They're young players. Where do they fit? The message to those young players is they got to come to training camp. They got to. We don't just stand at the door and just. Go buy a house, go buy a house, go buy a house, go buy a house, because the passport says they're young. Like, we're never going to get there. We're never going to get there. We gotta educate those young players. We got to hold them accountable. We got to challenge them. We've got to support them. We've got to give them some good veteran players to play with, and they worked their way up. Zetterberg was on the team was really good, but Zetterberg and Datsuk were third line players when they got here, and they worked their way up to where they eventually took the team over. And I think that's happening as we speak today with some of those young forwards. But the Zadinas and the Rasmussens and the Hiroshis and the Ends and the Delarose, I don't know, any forward in the organization that's 23 years of age and younger coming to training camp, there's great opportunity. Have a great summer, go to the gym every day, get stronger, get physically stronger, and come grab a job. We're dying for another good young player to make an impact on the team, but we can't just put you on the team because the passport says you're young and someone says they got potential. I've gone to NHL drafts since 1985. There's potential every year. A lot of those potential doesn't become a reality. It's very few fulfill their potential. So we've got lots of young kids. We got lots of cap space. We got lots of opportunity. There's lots of opportunities for this organization over the course of between now till July the 5th.
And Ken, obviously you're going to get
Yeah.
you're going to get a high pick, and you'll find out tomorrow. But have you thought about how organizational changing that it could be to get the first or second overall pick in this year's draft, especially the first, with knowing who's out there and what everybody says about your Yankees?
Let's go through the past first round picks. Obviously Buffalo got one last year. We watched them on Saturday night. Can be a great player, generational player. Was it the year before? Did Jersey get the number 1 pick? Hischer, a hell of a player. I think he could have played in the World Junior this year. I think he's still 19 years of age. They're young. And I don't want people to get excited to think if we get the first pick or the second pick that they're going to come in and they're going to, these players are going to change their franchises. I don't know if they're going to change it in 1920. They might change it in 21, 22. You know, my job, I guess I feel part of my job is to, to protect these players until they're ready to fly. You know what I mean? And, we picked Zadina last year at 6 and lots of excitement and lots of excitement, and I still think there's lots of excitement. There's lots of excitement. He's learning to be a pro. It's hard, and the odd few, all of a sudden, bam, they show up and they do it, and why can't they all do it? Well, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. So whether we get the first pick or the second pick, I mean, we can pick anywhere from 1 to 7 tomorrow. We can fall back 3. We can go 1, 2, 3, and then we're at 4. So we're picking anywhere from 1 to 7. This franchise is getting a really good player. We're going to add another really good player. Certainly the focus is on the top end of the draft and getting a star, maybe a superstar player. We hope it's a superstar. Hopefully we get lucky in the lottery. And we get a high pick. But we're getting a good player. We're going to add another good player. And we get 3. I'm excited. We get 3 seconds. We get an early third. So we're going to pick early in the second. And then we're going to have a little bit of X some names off. And we can also use those picks. If somebody slides, we can maybe move up. We got lots of options heading into the draft. And then we've got, San Jose's, Islanders late seconds, and we got our early third. So we got 3 picks there, probably in about 10 picks. Now, do we use them? Do we pick? Does somebody slide and we want to tab one of those with one of these in the early second and move up, or do we want to move one of these, 2 of these and move up? Certainly there's options there. There's options there. So we're going to add lots of good young players. Certainly the focus is on the lottery tomorrow night. It should be. Hopefully we're going to get lucky in the lottery. But we're adding a really good player, and we're going to add it from a really good player to a really good player. But we're headed in the right direction, and tomorrow night's going to be an exciting night. I'm excited. I'm going to go sit there, and every Red Wing fan's going to have their fingers crossed that tomorrow night's our night to get lucky in lotto. What's that?
Has Delarose decided to have that procedure, and are any of the other injured?
Delarose has had the procedure. He had surgery, I think Wednesday, last week. I know he's got to be on blood thinners for about 3 months, but he did have surgery. All went good. Expects to be A-OK off blood thinners by middle of July. It gives him a good chance to have a good July. He's been green lighted to train. He can go train. Certainly, when you're on blood thinners, you have to be. You can't do anything to run the risk of getting cut. But yeah, he's had the surgery, and or I think it's an ablation. So yeah.
Anybody else have?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Are there any veterans you've told yet are not coming back for?
No. Even if I'm thinking it, I don't know if today's the day. We just finished playing on Saturday. I think you need to let a week of the emotions go by. And the reality is, even if you told somebody they're not coming back, nothing happens in the industry until from their perspective, till the 1st of July anyway, so no.
Okay, do you think Croner has more hockey left in him?
I do. I do. He's a pro, you need pros. You need pros in the locker room. He's a voice. When he talks, they listen. He does it right. He's 38. He's not Nick Cronwell of 10 years ago that can play 25 minutes, but certainly could he be in the third pair and play 18 to 20 minutes and mentor somebody in that third pair, and if there's an injury, play more minutes. He knows how to. They know how to survive. They know how to play the game. They don't have to chase. They don't have to chase the game. I thought he had a really good season, and So, I think if he's got the juices flowing, we got to talk. And if he decides that, because when you're 38, it's not only about the winter time; it's about the summertime. It's about being in the gym in May, and being in the gym in June, and being in the gym in July, and being in the gym in August. And it's a lot of energy, and he has to decide whether he has that energy, and then we'll talk. And then, it certainly is, what's his expectation? If it's about he wants to play again, then what are his expectations, and what's the organizational, what's our organization's expectations? But I think can he play another year? Absolutely, he can play another year. He's a pro. He makes little passes in tight and little plays that save him. That he doesn't have to. A younger player's got to run around a little bit more and use their legs. And he thinks the game because of his experience of his 950 games.
Would it be fair to say that the Kaiser elevated his game a little bit this year?
Kaiser had a good year.
And can you think he can even get
Well, when you say better, I think better in terms of more points, better in terms of more minutes, better in terms of, yeah. I just think if you told me Dan DeKaiser's going to have another year next year like he had this year, I think he played good. I think he played the way we expected him when I signed him to the contract, and I think certainly. Somewhere in there, obviously, there's a coaching change, and one coaches him uses him one way. I know that Blash loves him as a player. He's 29 years of age now. So he's still. I'm not going to tell you he's young, but he's not old. He's probably sort of in his wheelhouse. Thought he had a good year. Thought he played good, but certainly. Stoney, we need to, again, I don't know, I think we're 28th or 27th in the league in goals against. We got to keep the puck out of our net. And it's not just about the defense, it's about what we build and how we play it, and that's one of the ways, certainly we've drafted some players that we hope one day are going to provide offense in the NHL. Some of them are providing offense, and some of them, Veleno and Zadina and Rasmussen, and we signed the college free agents, and we're trying to generate more offense. We're trying to build a team that can score. It's fun to score. It's fun for the fans to come to the rink and know that your team can defend and they can score. So we've drafted people that can score, but certainly we got to cut the goals against down. Everybody in there knows it. We got to be better in special teams. We got to be better in this and better. The reason we're out, and we were out probably 2 months ago, was we weren't good enough in enough areas. We know it, but I think Dan DeKaiser had a really good year. If you look at the year, started out the year 0-7, 0-5-2. All our defensemen were down. Had a lot of young kids, played fine, and we had a couple of tough games in Boston, in Montreal. And then our defense came back. We went 13-7-2. Crawled our way back into it, got within 4 points of a playoff spot, started to get back in and within a week or 10 days, we lost Mantha, Green, and DeKaiser all for 6 weeks. And I don't know if we won more than 2 or 3 games in the next 15 to 20, and that was all she wrote. And I think that when you look at our record with Green and DeKaiser in the lineup, it was over 500, and that's the importance of, as Answer asked that question again, they're just veteran guys, like the Kaiser's 29, Green's 33. Those young kids, their day's coming. They're going to play. But to put them in to play 20 minutes and 23 minutes and be on the power play and play against the other team's best players and to play against Crosby and to play against Kucherov and it's a lot to ask. You're not being fair to those kids. That's the veterans. They're going to have that one day, but that's not the way we built the team. So we just got hit with a whole rash of injuries at the wrong time at the same position, and it really derailed the year. I don't know if we're a playoff team or not. I think we were a better team than our record shows. If we wouldn't have got derailed at the wrong spot for so many times. But at the same time, I guess I'm going to tell Red, we know we got to get better. We got to get better. part of it's internally, and we got to figure out a way, whether it's schematic, whether it's free agency, whether it's trades, whether it's signing some veteran players to short-term deals to buy time for the kids. We got to get better. We want to be in a playoff race. We want to be more, and that's how we're going to develop the young players, is that they're playing in games that mean something, and they understand it's a fine line between winning and losing. And I told those guys in there, it's great. I can come in here and tell you, well, we lost 45 games and 1-goal games, and we were in the most 1-goal games in the league, but we lost them. We lost them. We got to figure out how to win them, so so that we can compete for a playoff spot.
Anthony had kind of went on a tear down the stretch. Did you see anything kind of click with him, and how confident are you that he approaches 25?
Well, I thought Anthony Mantha had sort of a breakout year a year ago. We had 24 goals and 48 points. Started to believe, you draft these players and they put all these impressive stats on the board when they're juniors and in college and in Europe. And it's a pyramid, and it gets harder and harder, and they start to fall. And he had 80 goals in 80 games his last year junior, and he goes to the American League and he's all excited. And sort of his first year in the American League, got his feet wet. And then his second year, he had a good year pro. And the third year, I think he had 9 goals in 11 games, and we called him up. And then he had 15, 16 goals. The next year, he gets 24 goals and 48 points. So, and then he was coming this year, and then he got in the fight to defend Larkin. I can't remember who he fought or what team. And then he broke he had to have surgery. It's November. Like he's starting to come. Well, not only is it 6 weeks, and let's say every week you play 2.5 games, it's 15 games he misses. Well, the next 5 take you to get going again, right? Because so the reality is he missed a quarter of the season. He missed 20 games. And some of them he played, but you're trying to catch up. And I thought that again, at the end of the year, it was starting in November. And then he got derailed by his hand injury, and he's starting all over again, and he got her cranked up. So, he's 24 years of age. He's 6'5". Would he get 22, 23 goals and 24 goals? And he missed. I'd say he missed 25. Did he miss 25? Wow. He missed almost. In my mind, he missed 20 games. Like it's 15 that he missed, but there's 5 that it takes you to get going again. So it's hard to score 30 goals in the NHL. There's more 30. I think I told you guys this before. There's more goals this year than there's been in a while. So there's more goal scorers. But I did a thing 2 years ago. There was 4 players in the league that scored 30 goals in 3 consecutive years. 30 goals or more in 3 consecutive years. One was Ovechkin. One was I'm not even sure because he might have got hurt. But there was 4 players that it'd be 15, 16, 16, 17, and 17, 18 that scored 30 goals or more in each of those 3 years. 4. Marchand was one, Tarasenko, Ovechkin, and somebody. But you guys can look it up. But it's hard to score 30 goals and do it consistently, because once you do it once, the other team says, "Ooh, you get tougher matchups." The other coach is watching us. So Mantha had 24 goals and 25 goals. He's 24 years of age. He's 6'5". Hard to find people that big that can do what he's done. So certainly he's a big part of the future of this hockey club, and could have almost had 30 goal scorers if Mantha wouldn't have got hurt. So certainly what I like is that the people, they're 22 to 24. They're 22 to 24. Bertuzzi, Athanasiou, Larkin, Mantha. We got to add to it. They're a really nice start. You got her. We've talked about the defenseman. Hronik's 21. Chalowski, I think he just turned 21. Then not everybody's going to be a star. Then you got to have some young players. They know how to check, and they can kill some penalties. And can you protect a 1-goal lead? And can they match up against the other team's best players? That was the grind line. That was Draper, Maltby, and McCarty, and they were really valuable to this team, but they were valuable because McCarty brought some aspects, and Draper brought some speed, and Maltby could kill some penalties. So not everybody's going to score 30 goals, but if you're going to win, you got to have a bunch of people that bring different elements, and so that's what some of those other 21, 22, 23-year-olds are going to bring. They're going to learn how to check. They're going to learn how to kill penalties. They're going to learn how to match up against the other team's best players and check and shut them down, so that they give the coach the opportunity for different matchups on different nights, depending what the other team's got on their roster.
Again, last time we talked, I think it was like right after the trade deadline, you said, you're happy, your wife is happy with your current situation, but you are going into the last year of your deal. I assume it's safe to assume that you want to be here after next year as well, and do you know, like,
I know what you're asking. I know what you're asking. So let me just put it this way. I'm going to manage the Detroit Red Wings till I'm not managing the Detroit Red Wings. And at that point in time, I will then assess what I'm going to do. But until I'm not managing the Detroit Red Wings, whenever that might be, you can speculate. That's your job. That's what they pay you big money to do, is to speculate, create rumors. Money, but you know what I mean. So a living, yeah. yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm going to manage every day I wake up, and I love being a Red Wing. I've been a Red Wing since 1983 when Jim DeVillano signed me as a minor league goaltender, and I played in Adirondack Red Wings 83, 84, 85. In 85, I became a scout. I'm 63 years old. I've been a Red Wing for 36 years. I've been a Red Wing for well over half my life. I love the Red Wings. I love living in Michigan. I love the fans. I love the people. I love the owners. I love being a Red Wing. I love the history. And I will manage this team every day until I'm not the manager and somebody else is in charge. But while I am the manager, I want this team to contend for a Stanley Cup. We're going through tough times. And when you make the playoffs 25 years in a row, I remember sitting here at a press conference with you guys. It was actually at Joe Louis Arena. I think we'd lost in the first round. There was the rebuild, and I talked about how hard the rebuild is. Well, we're living the rebuild. I know what a rebuild is like. I was part of the Red Wings in '85, and I see other teams. Rebuilds aren't fun. I'm trying to make sure that this rebuild is done right, and it's done as short as possible, because it can go on. They can go on a long time. And we got to do it right in terms of developing the players, in terms of drafting. We got to get additional picks. It's not an exact science. You're going to be wrong sometime. You're going to be right sometime. We got to be more right than wrong. You need X. We got to have veteran players in the American League. We got to make them the young players play, but we got to challenge them. They can't be entitled. It's got to be earned, but it's also got to be opportunity. There's that fine line, because I know just play them. Well, it's when you guys all go to work, you didn't get into that job when you were 20 years of age and they gave you that big job that you got. Now you've had to earn it. No, seriously, you know what I mean? You have to earn it. You got to pay your dues. Well, and we just happen to be on TV every night, and you're watching our people learn how to play. So I'm going to be the manager until the manager. I want this organization, I want this team to contend for another Stanley Cup. I want the Red Wings to win another Stanley Cup, to be a cup contender. I know how hard it is to win a cup. And we won 4 cups, and we probably were a contender from 1994, 93. We had 100 points. We lost to Toronto. Probably in 93, legitimately. To probably 08, 09, 010. We lost in the second round, 11. We were a cup contender from 93 to 2011. Probably 18 years, you could say, legitimately, we were a legitimate cup contender. We won 4. Didn't win 12. Won 4. They're hard to win. Everything's got to fall right. First order business is you got to build a team that's good enough to win it. Then the experience, the luck with injuries, the wrong people, the matchups, all those things. So I'm overseeing, as the general manager, whether I'm here a long, long time or a short period of time, I'm doing what I believe is in the best interest of this franchise, of this fan base, of all those players, to try to build this team into a cup contender. And that's what I get up every day, and that's my challenge. That's my goal, because I love being a Red Wing. I love being a Red Wing.
And I know you're friends with Steve. Do you and he talk?
Do I talk?
Yeah. on the
Oh, we
phone?
talk. Yeah, we talk. Yeah. No, not regular. No, I talk to Steve.
This topic ever, I know there's a.
We laugh about it. Yeah, we laugh about it. Yeah. I'm certain I'd be living in a cave if I didn't know what it would. I mean, I don't kind of quite live in social media, but I'm aware of all the rumors and everything out there, and he's a great player. He and I roomed together in Sochi in the Olympics. We were in the same we stayed in the Players Village. And the management team and Steve and I were in one room together, and we had two little beds that we put up this little thing for 2.5 weeks. And across the hall was Peter Shirelli and Doug Armstrong, and we get up every morning and go for breakfast. We hung out. Steve was obviously a player at the end of his career. He didn't use it. He didn't use an agent. He and I negotiated his last 3 or 4 contracts one-on-one and spent a lot of time together. Obviously, I hired him when he retired to become part of the Red Wing management team. I mean, we're friends. I mean, and we're associates, and we're friends. And anytime you're part, this is me. Anytime you're part, I was a part of something special. You know, winning Stanley Cups, a team on the ice that had high-profile players. The city, the building was full, and we had massive disappointments, and we had 4 massive highs. You build relationships, and then Steve comes in and you work with them. I got that relationship with Jimmy Nill. I got it with Steve Yzerman. I got it with Mike Babcock. You build relationships that go for the rest of your life. And you remember how you go to school and you got those best friends in high school, and then they all go your separate ways, and you see each other 10 years later, and all of a sudden you reconnect. You don't miss a beat. You don't miss a beat. We don't miss a beat. Steve Yzerman and Ken Holland don't miss a beat. Jim Nill and Ken Holland don't miss a beat. Mike Babcock and Ken Holland don't miss a beat. So you guys can write whatever you want, but those guys are all friends of mine. They're friends of mine. I'm going to be the manager of this team till I'm not the manager of the team. And then he had asked the question, and at that point in time, I'll worry about what's next. But every day when I get up tomorrow, today we're doing exit meetings. Tomorrow I got to go over Lucky and Lotto, and then I'm going to go watch some juniors. I'm going to go next week. I want to watch Grand Rapids play in the playoffs. Then I'm going to go to Sweden to the World Under-18s and spend a week at the World Under-18s and watch the U18 team and all these players. And then you're going to come back and we're going to have our year-end scouting meetings. And I'm going to keep plodding along till one day someone tells me, you don't have to do it anymore. Somebody else is going to do it. And then I'll worry about what's next at that point in time.
I'm sorry, I know we've been here for an hour.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're saying it's our job to speculate. That was a bushel of tea leaves to read through, and hints that have been dropped, and jobs that have changed in the past year and a half, 2 years. Do you want to? I mean, would you ever hand the mantle over? Is that something that would ever enter your mind, or with everything you're saying, this is a job that you would want to keep until somebody tells you? Is that a fair statement?
A fair question?
Fair question.
Yeah, that's a fair question. All I'm saying, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to manage the Detroit Red Wings until I'm not the manager of the Detroit Red Wings, and then maybe it's 2032, and people might out there, holy Christ, 14 more years of Ken Holland. But I don't know when it's going to come. But when I'm not the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings, ask me all those questions.
But since you are friends with Steve,
Yes.
and everybody's speculating, do you have a good idea what he's going to do? You see reports in New York. Nobody seems to know. You don't know.
That's the beauty of Steve. You guys dealt with him. Did you dealt with him when he was a player. You guys went to him. I mean, he keeps his. That's the beauty of Steve.